What's good, people? Let's have a quick weekly review as well as a weekly forecast of what the next week might give us in terms of price action and potential setups. So, this whole week, I didn't place any trades. As you can see, this is my journal right here. So, let's go look at the calendar view. And yeah, this is the week the week that passed, which is starting on the 22nd all the way to Friday, which was the 26th. Christmas was on the 25th, so of course there was no trading on Christmas Day, and 24th it was like a half day. Markets actually opened on Friday, which I was surprised about, and there was a really good setup that happened on Friday. And likewise, I think there was a good setup that happened on Monday, or was it Tuesday? And I missed. So there was actually two good setups. I'm actually kind of disappointed in myself because I told myself that I wasn't gonna take the week off just because it's a Christmas week. But what happened was, I think towards the end of last week, and I think in the beginning of this week, price was moving very sluggishly, right? The price action was slow. It was in a range. It wasn't really. So I kind of took my eye off the ball because I thought it would continue that way. But actually, two setups did present, one in the beginning of the week and then one at the end of the week, and both of them were really good. They provided, I think, at least 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5 hour risk reward ratios using my trading style, which is mind you, having a stop loss of around 100 and 250 pips, and it still gave a healthy RR multiple trade that both actually want to target. So yeah, but you know what? You snooze, you lose. And there's no benefit in crying over spilt milk. So we're gonna look ahead, and then we're gonna, see what this week is gonna bring. So just like always, let's start from the monthly, and do a top-down analysis. So as you can see, monthly still hasn't closed yet. We still have a few more days. So going back to the calendar, this week, on Monday, which is tomorrow, which will start on the 29th. So we have 29th, 30th, and the 31st before we finally kick into the new month, which will be on a Thursday. So in fact, 3 days out of the 5 days will still be in the December month. So because we don't have a new data point to work with regard to the monthly. So let me just remove all the previous drawings so we can start afresh. So yeah, this monthly data point is still in play because like I said, we do not have a new month to work with. That's a good thing about the higher time frames. Very little changes, unlike the lower time frame where levels are continuously being created and destroyed. So now if we drop down to the weekly, what do we have? Well, as you can see, last week was a really, really bullish week. Now the only thing one thing that I can see is obviously the 50%. I always like to mark out the 50% of the week, right? So in this case, because it's a weekly, I like to also color code my levels so that I know exactly what it is I'm looking at, especially when I go to the lower time frames. And I also like to kind of make sure that the levels only show on the time frames that I need them to show, so that it doesn't clutter my chart too much. Another thing I can see clearly, which is a very big event, is us closing above this structural point. So that to me is like a break of structure. Of course, it was always bullish, so it just further broke bullish. So it's like a continuation of the overall structure. So that's really good. So what that does is on the lower time frame, it gives me a data point to work with. So now if we drop down to the daily time frame, what we can see is, okay, since this is the lowest point before the break, I would consider that as my strong daily low. So I just mark that with a little red dot, just so that I know that that's my strong low on the daily. So this gives me a range to work with, basically. So what you can even do is I can put my what's it called, my volume profile thing. So my fixed range volume profile. So what that will do is it'll just give me an idea of where the heaviest trading occurred within that range. And as you can see, this is the POC right here, and this is the value area high, value area low. So if there was to be a pullback, because after every breakout, you want to anticipate a pullback, right? It breaks out, then it pulls back, retests something, and then continues, right? So where would the pullback come to? Well, one of the ways is you could say premium and discount, right? You could, let's say, mark out the entire range from the low to the high, right? You say anywhere between the 50% of that range, right? As you can see, this is the 50%, and the 50% kind of lines up with the POC, right? The POC is the point of control. That's where the majority of the trading occurred within that range. So you see two things, two levels, colliding with one another. So that's confluence for you. And you can see this, it has inbuilt liquidity. There's this swing low right here, this daily swing low above, right? Price could come here. All these are actually liquidity as well, so it could maybe overshoot just to absorb all of the level position, what's it called, liquidities that's below here. So yeah, this is just something for you to eyeball. As you can see in this leg, there's liquidity beneath all these swing lows, right? There's a swing low here. After the swing low, it's kind of like just straight move up. Of course, there's this inside bar here, and there's this, like you can see, this red candle, which is a daily pullback, and then a continuation of the daily pullback. But when you look at it, it's really just moving up, right? This is a clear swing, right? So this would have more liquidity than this would. And as I said, this is the POC value area high. So there's a lot of confluence around here. I don't want to waste too much time here, but if we look here above here, last week on Friday, we actually closed above this bearish candle, which is actually a significant event, right? So that's a very bullish signal. So what we're going to say is we do have this daily resistance that now has broken because the candle closed above, so now it's turned into support. In fact, this was where the trade that I told you that happened on Friday, this is where it happened. So if we drop down to the 4 hour, as soon as the day opened, the day closed, Thursday closed here, and then Friday gapped up and opened here. So once it opened, actually pulled back, tapped the daily, and just started going up. So yeah, there was a nice, I think, entry. You could either enter there, you created a support here, you could wait for it to pull back and tap you there. This was in Asia, like this is Asia kill zone. And then even after that, what happened was it created a nice H4 level, I believe, around here, and I saw it in hindsight, so I was kind of, because I wasn't really paying attention to the charts, so I kind of, when I saw it later, I was like, oh, that was such a nice job, because had I been on the charts looking, I believe that I definitely would have taken that. So this was another level. It formed right at around 3 o'clock, which is another kill zone. And as you can see, this was so beautiful. It was so beautiful because there was actually two H4 levels that were produced. There was this first H4 level that was produced and the second H4 level was produced. So what happened was the first H4 level, right, was produced, I think, during London. And then price came back just before New York. It tapped it and then it rejected, and then it gave this bullish engulfing candle, right? This bullish engulfing candle, let's say this rejection wasn't enough for you, right? Then there was this inside bar that might have not convinced you, but then boom, we had this big ass bullish engulfing, right? So let's say you didn't enter here because you weren't really too sure of the setup, but then after seeing this bullish engulfing right at the kill zone, right, because of the timing, that would have made it really good. And what I would have done is, me and my 50%, right? I like to look at my 50% off that candle. Then I would have looked at search for a level somewhere below there. Now, depending on how eager I am to enter the trade, I might just enter directly on the 50%, or if I find a level just beneath it or just around it, I might have entered there. So there's multiple ways to enter. So yeah, man, the trade was really, really nice, and as you can see, it actually worked out very nice. So let's say you entered on the 50% itself. So that's this pullback, this 4 hour, this red candle that pulled back, that would have taken you in, activated the trade, and then if we can see, the price pulled all the way at the high. It gave like a nice 2.6, well, depending on your stop loss, right? If you put your stop below this candle, which is what I would do, either this candle or that candle, any one of them would have been good. So I would have had something like a 100 to 120, 130, even up to 150. But let's say just somewhere in the between, I just had a 120 pip stop loss. See, very nice. It could have squeezed at almost a 1 to 3, 1 to 2.84, at the height of it. Of course, maybe once after it starts to pull back, because it's a Friday, I would have closed out. So at the very minimum, I would have at least secured a 1 to 2. And that's on a Friday, right? After Christmas, by the way. I think that was Boxing Day. So yeah, it was a really, really good setup. I kind of really was disappointed that I didn't see it when it happened, because right now I'm really trying to pass my challenge. I wanted to pass before the year was over, but yeah, still haven't passed it. But yeah, we still have 3 more days and we'll see. Maybe I can pass it, maybe not. So yeah, let me just remove these levels just so that I don't clutter the charts. And yeah, now we have this daily level. Honestly, this is a big daily candle, as you can see here. So honestly, seeing that, automatically I'm like looking at the 50%, right? So in this case, I would do something like get a daily, put a daily level, and then I would watch that. So that would be something that price might want to gravitate towards. Yeah, other than that, honestly, yeah, those are the only levels I see. So yeah, next week, as soon as we start the week, it's looking very, very bullish, right? But anytime it might want to, like I said, start giving bearish just to facilitate the pullback of this breakout, right? Breakout, pullback, continuation, breakout, pullback, continuation until the trend ends. So yeah, this is what I'm looking at for next week, and yeah, I'll update you as the price action develops throughout the week. Peace out.